Okay, we are on. Salamastarba. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our online meeting with the guests from the United States, from the University of Missouri. Hello, Mary. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Mary Stegmaeir, and I am the Vice Provost for International Programs at the University of Missouri. And I'm delighted to be participating in this event today. I was in Jalalabad for 4 weeks in December and January as an election observer for the presidential election. And I had the opportunity to meet Manas and visit Jalalabad State University a couple of times and establish this connection. So I've worked with Manas to think through some ways in which our two universities might cooperate. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Sang Kim, who is the director of our Asian Affairs Center, which runs some programs that may be of interest to students and people around Jalalabad who are teaching or learning English. So Sang, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Stegmeier. It's such a pleasure to join our friends in Jalalabad. Thanks to Dr. Stegmeier and also Mr. Manas. And I have a fond memory of visiting Bishkek several years ago. And with the help of the technology, this is my first time virtually visiting Jalalabad. And such a pleasure to make connections between the University of Missouri and Jalalabad State University. So if I can ask my colleague, from the Asian Affairs Center of the University of Missouri, 3 of us are joining today, myself, Ms. Amanda Carr, and Ms. Leslie Sapp. So Amanda, if I may ask you to start showing the presentation, that'd be great. Or is it already shown live? So we are located, so the first slide you will see will show a tiger and a Mizzou. Mizzou is a nickname for the University of Missouri. The full name for the University of Missouri is University of Missouri Columbia, and that's quite long for our students and anyone associated with the university to say. So we have a nickname called Mizzou, and we call ourselves Tigers. Tiger is a symbol, mascot of the university. And University of Mizzou is located right in the middle of the United States. I have been staying here for almost 30 years, and I find Columbia, Missouri, which is a college town, optimal for a learning environment. And it's very stable, and everything that you need for higher education and for learning is here, right in the middle of the United States, Columbia, Missouri. And when we ask our students and scholars how many universities there are in America, we get a whole variety of guesses. Some mention like 50, or some like real optimistic, students mention like 20,000, but not that many. But there are lots of universities and colleges in America. There are about 4,500 colleges and universities in America. So it is very difficult. It may become very difficult for any students, international students, who's interested in coming to the United States to pursue higher degree, master's or PhD, to decide or do some research and decide which university to go to. And we found that searching from the top associations would be a very good strategy. There's association called AAU, which stands for Association of American Universities, which was founded in 1907, a little over 100 years ago. And that is a collection of top research universities in America, To be exact, in North America, so there are 60 AAU members in America, and there are 2 in Canada. So there are 62 altogether. But among 60 AAU members, there are private universities, probably all international students and parents have heard of. Everyone says Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Brown. So there are private members of AAU. There are 26 of them, and the rest 34 are public universities. And the University of Missouri Columbia campus is one of the public AAU members. So there are only 2 AAU member schools in the state of Missouri. That is Washington University in St. Louis, and which is a private university, and University of Missouri in Columbia. So on our campus, we have a little over 30,000 students. The student body comes from every county of the state, of course, but all 49 states of the United States. And we have about 2,000 international students, and including scholars, we have more. We used to have like up to 3,000 students and scholars coming from over 100 countries. And we have everything here on campus for the students and scholars to enjoy their learning. Not to mention the over 300 academic majors. They have a whole variety of facilities that are really optimal for their learning and health. So the students faculty ratio is about 18:1. So for every 18 students, we have one faculty, one professor working with the students. And we design our classes to be quite small for personal interactions with professors. So we have most of the freshman classes are fewer than 30 students in a class. And general education program allows the students to explore different majors. A lot of times students do not know what they really want to major in. So some of the patterns we see of our international students as well as domestic students is that they explore their majors in their first or second year, mostly in the first year, and then they decide to go, narrow down to like just the one to 2 majors to pursue. And on our campus, giving the research opportunity to undergraduate students is very important. We have been running undergraduate research program for close to 30 years here. So the students are prepared for their advanced degrees to go to master's or PhD program here or other places, or get practical knowledge for them to jump right into their career. So hands-on education experience is very important. And there are core values. We ask our students and everyone to go to classes and to work every day. Those are respect, responsibility. So those are very important. We have a variety of, very diverse population of students and faculty and staff. So respect everyone every day, and be responsible for what you do. And also focus on the discovery of new knowledge. The core reason why you are here pursuing a higher education degree and research is find something new, new knowledge. And we remind everyone to try to excel in everything that you do here on campus. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Asian Affairs Center. We are kind of unique. There are many, as I mentioned, there are so many universities here, but there are just only a handful of universities that has a designation of Asian Affairs Center. There are many universities that has Asian Studies program, but we are serving as more of a resource center and relationship building entity specifically for Asia. So we serve as a bridge between MU, University of Missouri, and Asia, developing and maintaining ties with our MU partners and alumni in the Pacific Rim countries. And by working with various Asian student groups and community and campus organizations, we promote the awareness and appreciation of Asia here on campus. And also by working with the state of Missouri and the corporate community, we also try to promote connections and economic opportunities that exist between Missouri and the Pacific Rim countries. And in doing so, we have within the Asian Affairs Center, we have a Missouri International Training Institute that facilitates relationships between scholars, government officials, and business people from throughout Asia and their counterparts in Missouri. And we provide tailored education programs for Asian business practices and culture to American constituents, American companies that are wanting to expand their business in Asia. We work with them to figure out how we can foster that goals. And also we provide short and long-term programs, which we will talk about today, for Asian government entities, of course, as well as university students and faculty and staff. So our education approach, we are a little bit different than intensive English program education. Intensive English program we do have on campus, IEP, that focuses very specifically and quite deep in academic English. So that really helps prepare our students to become graduate students or undergraduate students in American universities. So it focuses more on academic English. But what we focus more on at the Asian Affairs Center is we try to focus on English for global purposes, English for professional purposes. When I first came to the United States as an international student, my friends then, this was over 30 years ago, my friends then were very kind to tell me that, Sang, your English is quite good, understandable, but when you speak like a book. So when I first heard that, like, what does that mean? I realized that my English was mostly book-based. I studied English. And so I was fairly prepared when I went to classes, but outside the classes, I started feeling uncomfortable. I didn't know the usage of the language, like out in, like, what do you say in restaurants, and how do you interact with with your American peers in sports game, during sporting events, and what do you say when you go to movies, and what phrases do you use effectively when you're in a team project meetings. So I started realizing that, wow, it's really in the fields. Like, you have to live your American life, and instead of like studying English, there's a certain level of studying English that needs to be done. But after that, for you to gain cultural fluency, you need to start living English. So that has been our approach, and we have been getting very good feedback and productivity increase for our visiting Asian students for the past 20 years. And they gain confidence, and they learn with and along, they learn with our American collegiate ambassadors, which will be talked about more. And it's been a great platform for our students to gain confidence and live English and American culture. So with that, I'd like to pass the microphone to Ms. Amanda Carr. I was going to talk about the more about the curriculum aspect of our program.
Thank you, Sang. So as Sang mentioned, living English is the cornerstone of our learning philosophy here at the Asian Affairs Center and in all of our programs. So what does that look like in practice? Well, we have a really wonderful team of teachers and coordinators who work together to make sure that every single program provides as many opportunities as possible for our students to live English. Most of our programs focus around 3 core areas of development. The first is core skills. So this is where we really focus on our students enhancing their English language skills. But like Sang said, we're very different from a typical intensive English program. There are 0 exams in everything that we do. We do not do exams. We also don't do things like grammar drills or textbook exercises. Instead, we really focus on helping our students build confidence in expressing their thoughts and ideas so that they can use English in real life and real world situations in and outside of the classroom. We also help our students and program participants develop cultural competency. So that means helping everyone communicate better, both with other international students and scholars, as well as with Americans on our campus, so American undergraduate students, as well as the local community. We spend a lot of time taking our students outside of the classroom to do site visits in the community. It might be to a local business or to volunteer or to attend an event, but we want our students to feel like they're part of the community. And we focus a lot on problem solving for real world issues. So our students and scholars are thinking about what it really means to be a global citizen. The final area of development that we focus on is leadership. We think that leadership is really important, especially in this globalizing world. And we want to help our students and scholars develop a better understanding of their own strengths and then how to use those strengths in order to be more successful as leaders in their fields. And so a lot of our curriculum focuses on teamwork and team-based learning, where we are trying to solve problems and build projects together. So Leslie is going to speak a little bit more about our specific undergraduate programs and what those look like.
Thanks, Amanda. As Sang mentioned earlier, and as we kind of talk about the idea of living English, we have a program that is extremely popular and very helpful to the students called our Collegiate Ambassador Program. And many of our undergraduate students that attend our training programs, they're not enrolled in traditional classes at the University of Missouri that the other undergraduates are. And so we have these great volunteers that work with us who are MU students, and they help our students better understand what the American college experience is like. They are invited to attend all of the field trips and cultural activities that we do with the students, and they really enjoy participating in this. Many times they give up a huge chunk of their weekend to hang out with our students and have fun and help them better understand what they're experiencing during these activities or on these field trips. They also organize informal get-togethers or gatherings. What you're seeing in this picture here is one of our ambassadors and a student. They're teaching each other how to cook different dishes. And this is at one of the family homes of one of our American students. They also really, after they build those relationships, they enjoy just hanging out. So going on the mini trails that we have in Columbia, or taking them out to coffee shops, going dancing, visiting in the apartments, just watching movies or having meals. Having American style potlucks is a very popular thing that the students like to do together. And then they also do participate in some of our classes so that they can provide that peer perspective when we're talking about American cultural issues or just American culture in general. So we're going to talk a little bit about our educational programs. We have quite a few programs for students. What you see here are 2 examples of, one is a semester-long program called LEAD. The other is a summer and winter session program called Global Leadership and Communication. We also have programs for professionals. I highlighted one here, which is the Global Leadership Program. We also tailor programs depending on what our partners would like to have their students and scholars experience. So we'll talk a little bit about some of these, and then if you have questions, we're happy to go into more detail. So the first one here is a program that we've been running for a long time called LEAD, Leadership Through English Advancement and Development. It's a semester-long program. We have recently combined a couple of our programs to create 2 tracks in this program. And so all of the students who participate, these are undergraduates, well, I guess from freshman through senior we get, and sometimes right after. And so along with developing global leadership skills and cultural competency, we really work with these 2 different tracks to improve their international marketability. So one track is for civic engagement interests, and there are a lot of volunteer opportunities. And there's a professional writing course, and they really dive into what it means to be civically engaged and civically minded, and then they see examples of that in our community. We also have a professional track, which includes what many people call an internship, but it is a chance for these students to become part of a team at a local business where they work a couple of days a week and kind of job shadow, but also do their own projects. And so that's really a great program. And then, of course, with all of these elements, we also do the field trips and the cultural activities. And then you see this picture here with a lot of the ambassadors when on a trip we went to the zoo. Here are a couple of pictures of classes, presentations that the students have done, field trips. The one in the lower right is a University of Missouri football game. So they're all dressed in their black and gold, which are our colors. And then you see a couple of pictures of volunteer experience and then also the internship. We have another program called Global Leadership and Communication, which is a much shorter program. So students can participate in this during their summer break, and then we also offer it sometimes during the winter. And it includes many of the same elements as Amanda mentioned with our key target areas. So leadership skills, the cultural aspect, right? Deep into the living English. And then it's something that they can put on their resume, even though it's a short-term program, to talk about the courses, the professional communication course, the global leadership course, and then all the things that they experience while they're in the US. And again, that has the ambassador element. All of our undergraduate programs do. So here you see a few snapshots of different activities and classes. I won't talk too much. Well, actually, Sang, do you want to talk just a little bit about the Global Leadership Program? I think we had a couple of questions in the comments section about this, so maybe we could talk about it a little bit.
Sure, I'd be very happy to. Different from those 2 programs we just introduced, Global Leadership Program is for professionals. And we get quite a good number of government officials coming from South Korea and China, and some researchers and university professors who take a sabbatical leave or research leave. So currently, we have about 48 participants in the GLP, Global Leadership Program. But our highest number so far has been about 72 participants in a given year, coming from about 4 countries. Let me see if I can count them all correct. South Korea, China, Vietnam, and Thailand. I think that's it. And it has some core courses to help develop global leadership and topics related to American society and American governments. And also there's some English classes, for those who would like to improve their English. But again, our approach is not so much of like a technical aspect of the language, but more on how our scholars can improve their English for professional purposes, for them to give presentations in academic seminars, or for their professional forums, things like that. And also we have field trips, arrange whole variety of field trips that would be relevant to professionals coming from various disciplines. So we have a bi-weekly field trips and global leadership seminars that the campus offers, or we invite speakers and take subgroups of scholars and professionals to a specific professional visit to NGOs or state agencies or federal agencies, and often cultural field trips for our scholars to understand America better. And we've had small groups of English teachers to join this program and take the GLP courses. We offer about 22, 24 GLP courses every 7-week session. So there are 2 sessions in every semester, and people usually stay for at least 6 months to up to 2 years. But we've had some scholars staying for up to 3 years. But it's designed usually for 1 year or 2 years attendance. And so, we can roll to our next slide.
So in addition to the programs that Sang and Leslie have mentioned, our center also offers tailored programs. So what this means is oftentimes we will have a partner come to us with a specific need. Maybe they like our programs, but they want something that focuses on a specific area of study, or is for a specific length of time, or for a specific population. And then occasionally we hear a need from multiple partners, and so we create something to meet that need. So I'm just going to give a couple of examples of what that has looked like for us in the past, and then later, if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to speak about it in more detail. One of our most recent tailored programs is an undergraduate program that we have created with the University of Nagano in Japan. And this is specifically for students who are majoring in business. And the university wanted something that incorporated our living English philosophy with the students, but with a focus on understanding American business practices. So we worked with the university to create a 4-week program that happens every summer for about 30 students. And they come over to the University of Missouri. They take a communication class where they are learning how to express themselves in English, but in business contexts. And then in the afternoons, they actually go to local businesses and learn about what those businesses do here in Columbia. Before they come to our program, they visit the same types of businesses in Japan so that they can compare and contrast those business contexts in different cultures. So that's a really fun program that we've done. This year, we've actually had to redesign the program to be an online program. And so we are capable of taking a lot of the programs we have in person and building them into an online format, which is something that we've been exploring in the last 1.5 years due to COVID-19. So this year, this program has moved online, and we've separated the courses into 2 sections while still encouraging our American ambassadors, our American college student volunteers, to interact with the students virtually. Another example of a program that we have recently created that is tailored is that we saw a need for a lot of the children of our current and former scholars. So this is for children from kindergarten through grade 8, that they were not getting a lot of English experience due to having to stay home because of COVID-19. And so we've built an online program with these students. They meet once a week with students from other countries. So right now we have enrollment from Mongolia, South Korea, and China. And the students really, it's the same kind of living English program, but online. So they're learning to be more confident in communicating in English, ask questions, think more critically, and express their own opinions. We've been talking about possibly creating a similar program for undergraduate students as an online program. And so that's something we could tailor for somebody as well. We've had a lot of other kinds of tailored programs. We have run programs for teachers who have come over. We have run programs for people in specific majors, such as engineering or food science. And then we work with different units and departments on our campus to make sure that we're providing the best experience in those majors. Same.
Thank you very much, Amanda, Sang. We have some questions here. First question from Kenjebu Osmanova. Can foreign students also enter to this university?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that question. So yes, we have admissions for international students through undergraduate admissions, also for graduate students. But then the programs that Sang and Amanda and Leslie just discussed are all designed for Asian students specifically. So the whole range, we are a public university and a major research university. So our programs are open to American students, but also we welcome international students from all around the world.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Guzal Akbarova. The question is there any exchange program for students?
There are different types of programs that can bring international students to the United States, but right now we don't have a formal exchange program in Kyrgyzstan. And when I say a formal exchange program, I mean a program where a Kyrgyz student comes to the United States and a US student goes to Kyrgyzstan. But we do have the whole range of options, from summer programs to semester programs, as well as full academic programs where students can get an undergraduate degree or a professional degree or a graduate degree.
Okay, thank you. The next from Kenjebu Osmanova. Are there any exchange programs for English teachers for our country?
I think I can speak to that. Our department in the past has offered tailored programs specifically for teachers of English. And what that has looked like in the past was a 3 to 4 week program where a group of teachers would come over, and we have an expert team of teachers who work with them to learn about curriculum, to learn about lesson planning, to learn about specific techniques for teaching the English language. And then those teachers have an opportunity to use those skills in a classroom, which has sometimes been in the public schools with children or with our undergraduate students, depending on the time of year and what the group's main interests are. They also get paired with a senior teacher who acts as a mentor for them and helps them throughout the process as they develop a teaching portfolio.
Okay, thank you. Hello from International University of Jalalabad, Dr. Mamatova. Mary, you know this university?
I don't know the university, but I did see the message, so thank you, and I will try to be in touch.
The next Cibek Abdikalıklı. Are these programs designed only for researchers from government sector and state university, or teachers from private universities can also participate? Cibek is the manager of the international department of that international university, I think.
Great.
Amanda, do you want to answer that? So can
Sure.
Faculty and teachers from private universities attend?
Yes, so I believe this is in relation to our Global Leadership Program, and enrollment is open to anyone for that program, so private or public institutions. Yeah.
One of the things, if I can add to that, with the Global Leadership Program, depending on the area of interest from the participant, we offer different opportunities for them to do academic research while they're here, or to get more deeply involved with government entities,
So
if that's their interest. So it kind of
you
depends
mentioned
on
it's
their.
not a
Go ahead, Sang. I think maybe we had a delay there. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. And then I think if Sang gets unfrozen there, he can add a little bit to that.
Okay, the next question is from Ernest. Hi, communication course, what is it about? Or any other ideas about communication?
So for all of our programs, every single program we offer has some kind of communication course component, and they all look a little bit different. But for us, we really try to create opportunities to use communication in more natural situations. And so the communication course usually starts with students and scholars exploring communication styles and actually how to communicate effectively. And then we build up, depending on the level of the students and what the program is, specific English techniques for communicating effectively. So we focus a lot on persuasive speech, expressing opinions and negotiating, learning how to debate ideas, and learning how to facilitate conversations. So most of our assignments are projects that are built around learning how to more effectively facilitate communication between different individuals.
Okay. The next from Rahat Ermurat Kızı. She's asking, what programs or scholarships do you have for young professionals? What are the requirements?
So I can say that for graduate programs, master's programs, and PhD programs, we do have assistantships that provide a tuition waiver and a stipend that are available to students. And that is entirely up to the particular program that you might apply to. So for example, I am a professor in the Public Affairs and Political Science program at the university, and we have some assistantships available to students, open to international students. This semester, I do have an assistant who is an international student. So that is available for graduate students, or it's a possibility for graduate students. There are also scholarships through undergraduate admissions that international students are eligible to apply for, and that is based on test scores. So it's designed to attract the strongest students to the university.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is from Ernest. Excuse me, is there any short-term programs like courses for teachers?
So I mentioned the program that we've run for teachers before, but I can also note that more recently we've been exploring offering standalone courses online. So if you're an institution that is looking for some kind of very specific course, please feel free to reach out to us and we can speak more to what we're able to do in that area.
And for the Asian Affairs Center program,
We can't hear you saying.
Yeah, I think he might have frozen.
Mhm.
You can go on to the next question, Manas. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is from International Relations Office of Jalapa State University. Are there any special scholarships for partner universities?
We don't have many scholarships designed for specific universities, but it is possible for us to establish formal relationships and agreements with international universities that might more easily facilitate international students coming to the U.S.
I was anything, but I was gonna say when Mary mentioned about the scholarships for for
It looks like he's frozen, but maybe I'll have him type something in and then I can convey what Zane wanted to say. How's that?
Mhm. Okay.
You can go on to the next question, Manas, and then
I think I have, yeah, I have already read all the questions. We have many hellos.
Thank you to the people who have said
Yes.
hello. I see Gulnara has said hello, so
And,
that's very
I have my own questions. If students from Jalalabad apply to your university, what are the requirements for those students?
Yes, so it depends upon what kind of program they are applying for. So for graduate school, there are.
So an example I would like to give for how our partner university could. I don't know if my voice is coming through, but I'll just say it. Okay, let's try that. Okay.
Saying, I think you have a really long leg or something is happening on your computer. So feel free to put in the chat anything that you want to add. So Manas, your question was about what are the requirements. So the easiest way to find out requirements is to visit the Asian Affairs Center website, to reach out to Leslie or Sang or Amanda about Asian Affairs programs. But for students who might be interested in undergraduate or master's or PhD or professional degrees, to visit the department website for the different requirements, because the requirements depend on what level the student is interested in. Amanda or Leslie, do you want to add anything?
I think, yeah, all of our requirements are on our website. It's different for different programs, but I'll note for our programs, because we do embrace a living English approach, test scores are not the most important thing to us. So if a student really wants to enter a program, all of our students are interviewed before they come in. And if a student demonstrates that they're really excited and ready to participate, we usually can find a place for them in our program. So while we do have some a range of test scores listed for most of our programs. We're willing to take students that don't have the test scores after their interview.
Yeah, and that's an important point. Students oftentimes ask me if the TOEFL exam is required, and it is for our traditional degree programs. But if you work with the Asian Affairs Office, that's not necessarily a requirement to participate in their programs. One other thing that I wanted to mention, what Sang was trying to mention earlier about the question concerning funding for international students in the Asian Affairs Center. There are some instances where the Asian Affairs Center has worked with partner universities to get money from their government ministry, the education office, or other formal institutions that might provide support for students from that country to visit the United States to study and improve their English and cultural competencies. Thank you, Sang, for that.
Thank you, Mary. Are those like programs at the Asian Center like fee paid? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you say something, Amanda, about how the fees work? Say, just pick a standard program.
Sure. So obviously, fees depend on a few things. So the length of the program, what the courses are that are being offered, and then housing is something that is in addition to the fees for the semester-long programs. So we will help students find housing, but it's not included in the program fees. For our short-term programs, so like a 4-week program, typically housing is part of the program. Leslie, I know you've been working on the budgets lately. I don't know if you have anything specific to add. I'm not up to date on numbers.
Yeah, we're still working on what we're going to do with the short-term programs, but we'll probably provide a larger amount of assistance with the housing in those very short-term programs so that the students don't have to navigate that on their own. With the semester-long programs and with the professional programs, we connect our students and scholars with people that we know who provide furnished housing and quality housing, and then we let them kind of take over that negotiation. And so we work to find the best deals and where the students are able to live comfortably, be able to commute downtown. So we like to find things on campus for them. Most of our students, we don't, the university doesn't put them in the dormitories. And so we do work with private housing on or near campus.
And we'd be happy to share if there's any programs you're specifically interested in, kind of the full information and including the fee breakdown.
Okay, one more question about visa. So students from Kyrgyzstan have difficulties while if they apply to United States embassy to get visa to the United States. How do you support? I heard that there is a I-20, like there's such kind of documents.
So typically, if a student applies to one of our programs, we have an interview with the student to make sure they're a good fit. And once we've established that, we do paperwork on our end. It's something called a DS 2019 form. And that's something we work with international programs to process. And once those forms are processed on our end, and what those say is, this student is a great fit for our program, and here is the invitation letter for that student. That material would be sent to your students, and then they'll take that with them to their visa interview. We haven't had a lot of students from Kyrgyzstan, so I'm not sure how it works for them with our programs, but we very rarely have issues with students being denied a visa for one of our programs. I don't know, Mary or Leslie, if you can speak more to that.
Well, I think we have a program where we have a relationship with Kane Institute in Bishkek, and we've hosted a couple of students a year, and to my knowledge, none of them have had any issues getting visas for our programs.
Yes, I've had an opportunity to meet a few of those students last year and the previous year. So we have had a few students from Kyrgyzstan, and our office within international programs, we have a division called International Student and Scholar Services. And so all international students will have a point person, an advisor in that office who will provide assistance with the I-20 form that we issue, and is a point person for any questions that an international student might have with the visa process.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question from Ernest. How about TOEFL score?
So we, at the University of Missouri, we do require a TOEFL score for admission to the university, but that is for full academic programs. So if you want to get an undergraduate bachelor's degree, a 4-year program, there is a TOEFL score that is required for that. And the same for a master's or PhD programs. And some of that, there is a minimum requirement at the university that's different for those levels, but some departments might require a slightly higher TOEFL score. If you want to be a journalist, for example, you have to have excellent English skills. But for the Asian Affairs Center programs, Amanda, could I have you to say a word about that again?
Sure. So all of our programs, we have a suggested range, and Leslie might know off the top of her head.
Not off the top of my head.
But we have a suggested range, but it is not required. We do not require any test scores for students to enter our program. The only thing we absolutely require is an interview. And the interview is not just to test English language level. It's to get to know the student and make sure that they're willing to come and participate fully in the program. So for us, the TOEFL score is not a very important part of the application process.
One of the ways that the Asian Affairs Center, our programs, how they differ from the university is that the students and scholars don't have to seek formal admission through the university. So they're working with us to gain admission to our professional and academic training programs, which are short term. And so we have a little more flexibility than with who we accept and the level of English that they have. And I believe Amanda mentioned earlier that if the desire is strong and the attitude is there, the test scores are not our number one focus. We really want students and scholars who have a strong desire to participate and fully immerse themselves in our programs and in the American experience.
Okay, I think we haven't left any questions here, but my last question, if it's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, about timeline for applying to your Asian Center. When in autumn, in spring, or in winter, maybe when they can apply.
So right now, this year is a little bit different. We've extended our normal application deadline for fall enrollment. So let's say starting around September 1st. We've extended that up until the end of May. And we want to allow for everybody to kind of know better what's coming this fall, because I think there are some questions about that on everybody's mind. I would say typically applying somewhere between 4 and 7 months before a program starts is usually where we like to be, so that we can have those meetings online to talk to the interested students and scholars about their goals while they're here. Then to produce all the paperwork that's required on our end so that they can then get the I-20 and all of their visa paperwork. For the short-term programs in the summer and winter, we accept applications up to a little bit closer to that date. So for a summer program, we might have the applicants anywhere between 2 and 3 months before the start of the program, have the application process. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, dear guests, thank you very much. So I think if students have questions, they can type on our Facebook page. Maybe I will send to Mary and Sang via maybe email or WhatsApp. Thank you very much again for this great event, for this program, for your presentation. Do you want to say?
I wanted to
Leslie?
add one thing. I saw somebody request that we share our presentation, and we're more than happy to do that.
Yes, Rahat.
So however that works, either via this recording, or if you want us to share the PowerPoint file in a PDF format, we're happy to do that as well. And if there are additional questions about, I see the short-term teaching program, I'm assuming there's a way that we can all kind of get in touch about that via email.
Yes. Mr. Sang sent your presentation to my email. So is it okay if I share this presentation?
Of course.
Thank you very much. Mary, Amanda, Leslie, Sang, thank you very much. Have a good day. I hope we'll stay in touch and do some projects in future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Manas, for inviting us today. And thanks to everyone who joined us for their attention, but also the excellent questions. And I hope to see you, Manas, later this summer, and perhaps we will be able to organize an event in person, which would be fun to meet some of your colleagues and students then. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.